It was just an ordinary weekend, a beautiful summer day. The family had breakfast on the summer terrace of their small but cosy mansion. The head of the family, Bernard, sipped fragrant brewed coffee and read the latest news while eating steaming fluffy cottage cheese pancakes. The hostess of the house, Helen, ate oatmeal with milk, and their beloved daughter, 20-year-old Alanis, was drinking apple juice. The mother looked at her child and noticed her gloomy face and dark circles under her eyes. "Alanis, you need to eat a proper breakfast. You're just drinking juice. You've become so thin, and it's because of your diet. You'll get sick soon. Have a pancake, or at least eat a couple of spoonfuls of oatmeal." The girl protested. "Mum, why are you treating me like a child? I'm already an adult, and the wedding is coming soon. I won't eat your oatmeal with butter and milk, or else I won't fit in my dress. God forbid Mark stops loving me. He only likes skinny girls." Helen threw up her hands in frustration and said, "Oh, daughter, you're so in love with Mark that you don't notice anything else. You shouldn't rush with the wedding. You've only been dating for 3 months. Is that enough time? Your father and I have been together since school." Alanis grimaced and said, "Oh, Mum, don't start with your lectures. I've heard it 100 times. It's so boring to date for so many years. You can get bored with each other 100 times. My Mark is so handsome, and he's involved in creative business, so I'm very lucky. All the girls envy me. He's not a soppy classmate, he's a businessman." The mother became angry and said, "Alanis, listen to me for once. Your father is also involved in business, selling office equipment. It's simple and clear, without any deception. What does your fiancé do? Everything is so unclear. It's all a sham. He spouts nonsense to people, and they stupidly pay him for it." "You just don't understand anything," Alanis responded tearfully. "He conducts trainings and coaching sessions, helps people find themselves in life and raises their self-esteem. Every week he has a full house, and even wealthy people attend his intensives. And he's also involved in cryptocurrency. It's so popular and promising right now. We live in a world of advanced technology, and you're still measuring everything by old standards. For you, business is selling tomatoes at the market. No one earns money that way anymore. Dad, at least you tell Mom." Bernard looked lovingly at his dear ladies and said peaceably, "Girls, don't argue. Helen, why are you picking on the child? Personally, I really like Mark. He's articulate, tenacious, and aware of current trends. Things have really changed a lot now. Young people know how to earn money in an entirely different way." Helen fell silent and pursed her lips, thinking to herself, "Well, I'll figure out how to check you, dear son-in-law." After breakfast, Alanis rushed off to her date. She was simply crazy about her fiancé. Mark courted her so beautifully, always coming up with something interesting. Today, for example, they agreed to go to a country beach, swim and sunbathe. Alanis threw a towel, tanning lotion and sunglasses into her beach bag and didn't even suspect anything. But when Mark brought her there, she was simply amazed. The guy had set up a truly heavenly spot. He spread out a blanket and took out icy drinks, fruits and even ice cream. Everything was charming. It was a romantic scene, refreshing water splashing, the wind blowing, and her beloved by her side. Alanis felt happy beyond words, thinking that life would always be this easy and magical. After all, they were young, in love, and had their whole lives ahead of them. Meanwhile, Helen and her husband stayed at home that day. Bernard rarely had a day off from his demanding job, so the couple cherished every moment they spent together. They sat for a long time, embracing each other on the terrace, reminiscing about their school years and youth. Alanis's parents had been inseparable since they were in school, so there was a lot to remember. Helen grew up in a poor family. Her father was a vocational teacher, and her mother was a cleaner at a roadside cafe. They were paid very little. Her mother wore the same old worn coat and shoes for years, and her father was frugal with everything. The table was almost always set with fried potatoes or pasta, and meat and delicacies they saw only on a big holiday. Although Helen's parents saved for themselves, they tried to buy all the necessary things for their only daughter. Helen loved her parents very much and tried to ask for as few toys and new things as possible, understanding that things were already difficult for them. Seeing all this, she decided very early on that she would be an honour student, get a good profession, and leave for the capital, never repeating her parents' fate. This became her goal, and she worked hard towards it from the first grade on. Her teacher always praised her, but her peers disliked her, considering her a nerd and a bookworm. There was another outcast in the class, a boy named Bernard. He was from a troubled family, raised by an elderly grandmother, and his unfortunate parents were always lost in their drunkenness. They didn't care where their son was or if he ate. Therefore, the child was often beaten, wore shabby clothes from someone else's shoulder, and barely studied. He was constantly bullied by the boys, teased for being hungry, and made fun of because he had a severe stutter and couldn't even pronounce his own name properly. When the teacher called the boy to the board, the class immediately burst into laughter and mockery. Due to distant bullying, Bernard was silent and withdrawn, hardly speaking to anyone. He often skipped school and ran away from lessons. One day, during a break, the class teacher approached Helen. "Helen, you are smart, the class president, and an honour student. I have a big request for you. Take Bernard under your wing. You see, he has potential. I feel it. He can do well. But as you can see, no one is helping him, and he's being bullied. Maybe you can help him a little. Otherwise, I'm afraid he won't even pass the exams. It's a pity for the boy." The girl was not thrilled with this offer. She didn't want to deal with this pimply silent guy at all, but as a responsible and diligent person, she couldn't refuse the teacher and promised to help. That same day, after classes, she approached the boy. "So, Bernard, our teacher asked me to help you with literature and math. So whether you like it or not, we're going to my place to study. I'll help you as much as I can. Otherwise, you will stay on for the second year, to the delight of your bullies." The boy looked at her intently and asked quietly, "If you don't tease me, I agree." They became friends after that. Helen took an active role in their friendship, and by the end of the year, Bernard went from being a poor student to a good one, surprising everyone. It turned out that he was smart and clever, but he felt very shy due to his speech defect and poverty. But Helen convinced him to fight. "Don't give up, Bernard. I brought special literature from the library and will do special exercises to improve your speech. And what if it helps? Don't stutter. Don't be afraid of Craig. He only looks scary, but he's just an ordinary boy. Whether you beat him or not doesn't matter. The main thing is not to give up. Show him that you're not afraid and fight back. You're strong. We'll figure something out about your clothes too. My mum sews great, and if you get a piece of fabric, she can easily sew you a couple of shirts that are no worse than store-bought. We'll find you some shoes on sale on weekends. I'm also very resourceful. As you can see, I don't dress in boutiques either." The boy suddenly took her hand and looked at her warmly. "Thank you, Helen. You're my only real friend. Only you understand me. You're not ashamed. You're helping me. My parents don't need me. It's so unfair. And my grandma is already old. She can't take care of me alone. It would have been better not to have been born at all." The girl tried to encourage him. "Don't worry. School will be over soon. Let's apply to college together. It's easier that way. I'm not really getting along with my friends either. They think I'm a bore. What am I supposed to talk to them about? fashionable clothes which I don't have, or about where they went on vacation while I was with my mum picking strawberries in the field to raise extra money. They'll just laugh. But it's easy and peaceful with you. You're just like me. I've seen you carrying boxes to the market in the evenings to make a little money. We're made of the same dough. So we need to stick together. Forget about them and believe in yourself. We'll make it. Thanks to Helen's care and attention, Bernard stuttered less and was able to resist the bully Craig. He overcame his fear and grabbed the cheeky teenager by the collar, shouting loudly, "If you touch me or Helen again, I'll beat you up. Got it?" The other boys were stunned but kept quiet. After that, classmates just grinned at Helen and Bernard, whispering, "Sweet couple. Two boring people found each other." But they didn't pay attention and stubbornly pursued their goal. Alanis's parents had long since become accustomed to Bernard and considered him their own son. Despite their difficult financial situation, they didn't mind sharing their soup or potato portions with him, and he never left their family hungry. On the contrary, they encouraged and praised the boy for his academic achievements, understanding how important they were to him since his parents didn't care about their son's fate. Father was calm about his daughter, who didn't go out at night and was always under supervision, so Bernard was always welcome in their family. The next thing in Helen and Bernard's lives was college. It was hard to study in a big city without support. Other parents used to help their children with money, but Bernard got nothing. It was during this period that Bernard discovered his entrepreneurial vein. On weekends he went to the night wholesale market, bought popular goods among young people in bulk, and then sold them a little more expensively at retail. The profit was small, but it was enough for him and Helen to live on and buy clothes. The girl was not idle and worked as a tutor, wrote essays and controlled papers for careless students for a small fee, and also became deeply involved in a theatre group. She loved applying makeup and participating in student plays and concerts. It was her favourite hobby and an outlet, and she completely immersed herself in the chosen image. So they walked hand in hand with Bernard, never parting for a moment. They got married modestly after receiving their coveted diploma. It was their common victory. After university, they lived in a tiny studio. Tiny studio for a long time. Bernard went into business. Things started to work out, and eventually they bought a spacious apartment, then a house and a car. They got a daughter, and Helen devoted herself entirely to her family, only tutoring for her soul. Alanis grew up smart and clever, studied well, and even got into a prestigious university. The parents loved their daughter very much and could not get enough of her. Life passed by quickly. Helen had become so close to her husband over the years that they could predict each other's moods and desires without a word, and they were literally one. The woman never regretted that she had lived her life with Bernard, because such a loyal and faithful husband could never be found. There were never any turbulent passions or fiery confessions between them, even in their youth. They just fit together like two puzzle pieces in a single picture. But in the matter of their daughter's marriage, their views diverged radically for the first time. Helen did not like her future son-in-law from the start. She felt that Mark would not look her in the eye, and he was somehow sly. Helen could understand her daughter. She was a love-stricken girl, but to her great surprise, her husband stood aside their daughter and was eagerly preparing with her for the wedding. They had already chosen the restaurant and discussed the menu. For some reason, he saw his successor in Mark and hoped that the son-in-law would gradually become involved in his business and continue his work. But Helen decided not to give up so easily. It was not in her character, and she took matters into her own hands. The woman got makeup, a wig with long black hair, green contact lenses, and a special mouth guard, that was inserted into the mouth and entirely changed a person's face and speech. She also borrowed a long, colourful gown from acquaintances in the theatre studio. After 3 hours of work in front of the mirror, an old fortune-teller stood instead of a well-groomed 45-year-old blonde. Helen searched the internet for the address of Mark's company, which was called The Way for Yourself. All their intensives and training sessions took place in various rented premises around the city, and the address of the company itself was in an industrial zone on the outskirts. Helen decisively went there, inventing a story on the way about how she needed to increase her self-esteem, and so on. The services of the company were chargeable, and she had to take quite a bit of money with her. All this looked more like scamming people than any serious organisation. The woman in disguise was walking down the corridor when she saw a happy, glowing girl about Alanis's age in an ultra-short dress come out of the office, followed by a happy Mark. They hugged and started kissing passionately, cooing about their own things, and not noticing anyone or anything around them. Mark whispered hot words of love to her, and the young flirt laughed and swooned. "Oh, scumbag! So you're even cheating on my daughter," thought Helen in rage. "What a villain! The wedding is in a couple of weeks and he's fooling around here. I'll teach you respect for women." Passing supposedly by and deliberately, loudly stomping her feet, as elderly people usually do, Helen suddenly stopped and, looking Mark in the eye, hoarsely said, "Hello, young man. I see that great happiness awaits you. Your destiny is interesting. Let me tell you your fortune. You won't regret it. You'll learn everything that was and will be." Mark was taken aback and asked, "Who are you, and why did you come here?" Helen confidently replied, "I'm a psychic named Juliana. Haven't you heard of me? I decided to sign up for your training because, even though I help others and give all of myself, nothing seems to work out in my own life. I'm completely at a loss. Maybe you can help me. I've heard great things about your company and how people find the meaning of life with you. It seems like you have great specialists. So what do you say? Do you want to know what's in store for you? I won't even take your money. I'll just tell you everything honestly, as I see it." Mark became interested, especially as the girl next to him was watching everything with wide eyes and obvious interest, and he waved his hand, saying, "All right then, I may not believe in all this fortune-telling, but it's still interesting to hear what you have to say. At least I'll have some fun." Helen barely contained herself. She was furious like a tiger and thought, "Oh, you'll have fun all right." Helen took Mark's hand, rolled her eyes as expected, remained silent for a long time, then suddenly announced, "You're about to get married. But not to her, to another girl. Her name is Alanis. She's rich, her parents have money, and you've already booked a restaurant. Alanis loves you so much, but she's not your destiny. You don't need her, and you won't be happy together. That's what I see." Mark's face changed and he shouted, "Who are you, old woman, and how do you know all this?" The man suddenly looked at the fortune-teller closely. Her image seemed somehow familiar to him. He stepped up to the woman and pulled off her wig. Helen spit out her cap and triumphantly declared, "Well, gotcha, son-in-law. Your company is fake. I've checked everything. You're simply cheating people for money. And you're cheating on my daughter with this girl. Have you completely lost your conscience?" The girl standing next to him burst into tears and slapped Mark with a resounding blow, saying, "You wretch! I hate you! So you sing to me about love every day, and then it occurs to you that you marry someone else? Well, you'll pay for everything. I know better than anyone that all these trainings are just scams, and now everyone will find out about it. I'll make sure of it. You'll learn your lesson, about how to deceive women." The girl ran away in tears, and Mark tried to justify himself. You didn't understand everything correctly. I love Alanis, honestly, and that's all. It's not serious. Please forgive me." "Get out of our lives. There won't be a wedding," Helen harshly told him. "You'll tell everything to Alanis yourself, and without lying. And be glad that I haven't reported your dark deeds to the police." Mark had nothing else to do but confess to Alanis about his infidelity, and the wedding was cancelled. Although Alanis loved Mark, she couldn't forgive such betrayal. After graduation, she got a job as an economist in a decent private company, and it was there that she found her true love a year later. Lou was her boss. From the first day, he was attracted to Alanis, but he didn't dare to confess or even hint at it. He saw how Alanis immediately put an end to any attempts by male colleagues to get to know her. The girl was always thoughtful and sad, but very responsible and hard-working. Lou was 10 years older than Alanis. His business was inherited from his father, and he managed it skillfully, but his personal life was not going well. He always dreamed of finding someone like his mother who could manage the household and be a friend and lover. But unfortunately, he only came across greedy gold diggers who only knew how to demand gifts and travel. Years went by. His parents had already passed away, and Lou lived all alone in a huge house, apart from the maid who came and the fluffy cat. Sometimes he didn't want to go home because no one was waiting for him there, but Alanis turned everything around in the man's soul. Her serious, always slightly sad grey eyes had deeply impressed him. Every time she brought him reports to sign, his heart sank. This had never happened to Lou before. He probably would never have dared to approach the unapproachable beauty if it were not for one incident. Lou suddenly became very ill and felt ill with the terrible flu. His temperature was off the scale and his whole body was aching. At the end of the day, his secretary entered his office and asked in a loud voice, "Our director is sick. He will not be here for a couple of days. Which of you can go to his house and take the documents to sign?" Of course, this was her responsibility, but she needed to pick up her child from kindergarten. She asked for help, and Alanis, who was always taciturn, suddenly said quietly, "I can do it. It's on my way anyway." Alanis herself did not understand why she decided to help. She just wanted to. She was not on her way, but she lied and went to the boss's country mansion. Lou was very sympathetic to Alanis, not only as a boss, but also as a fair, balanced person. He did not allow himself to snap at his staff and was respectful with everyone, from the cleaning lady to his deputy. So, learning about her boss's illness, Alanis really wanted to check on him and, if necessary, help. She took a cab to the boss's house, but nobody was there. She called on the phone, but there was no answer. Worried, Alanis pushed the massive door open and entered. She paced the rooms and shouted, "Lou, where are you? It's me, Alanis. I have the documents for you to sign." But no one answered her. Suddenly, Alanis heard a faint moan. She rushed to the second floor and found the director, who was lying wet and delirious on a huge bed. He was obviously delirious, and on the bedside table were pills of some kind. A frightened Alanis touched his forehead. It was just flaming. Then she threw the file and bag on the floor and rushed to the rescue of the sick man. She made him compresses, wiped his whole body, undressed Lou to his underwear, found an antipyretic mixture and literally forcibly poured it into his mouth. 3 hours later, she gave it him again. She could not leave her boss in such a state, so she called her mother, explained the situation, and her mother asked their family doctor to visit Lou. The doctor examined the man, diagnosed him, prescribed a treatment regimen, and left, assuring her that the patient would feel better in a couple of hours. Alanis stayed behind to guard the director at his house. In the morning, Lou finally felt better. He woke up and could not believe his eyes. Dozing on the chair beside his bed was Alanis, her face anxious and worried. All the time, he thought that Alanis talking to him was just a dream. Lou could barely speak. A hellish pain in his throat and lungs did not allow it. "Alanis, sweetheart, how are you here? What a miracle! This is the happiness I never dared to dream of." The girl immediately woke up. "Oh, you're awake. Oh, thank God. Your secretary sent me yesterday to ask you to sign some documents. I came and you were unconscious. I was so scared. I called my mother and she sent our family doctor. He calmed me down and told me to keep an eye on you until you got better. So I'm watching over your sleep. Well, since you're feeling better, I guess I'll be going. There's some chicken soup in the kitchen. Here's the doctor's prescription for you. If you like, I can run out and buy it for you." "Thank you, Alanis. You're my saviour. Mind you, I will not eat soup without you, so let's go to breakfast together." Alanis was embarrassed, but agreed. She really felt a tremendous hunger after all she had been through. The young people had breakfast together. Already leaving, Alanis timidly said, "Take care of yourself. Do you want me to come back tomorrow after work?" Lou joyfully answered, "I dream that you never left this house. I really like you, Alanis, so I'll be waiting." And so their relationship began. Lou was not the same as the passionate and ardent Mark. He reeked of strength, confidence and peace. A year later they got married. Sometime later, Alanis realized that she was pregnant. Her husband and parents were unspeakably happy, and Alanis was even slightly frightened to learn that she would have twins. But thank God the pregnancy proceeded without complications, and the time of delivery was approaching. Lou, being a responsible father, had thought of everything in detail, and even a leading professor in obstetrics was to deliver her baby over the phone. The man had already equipped the nursery and bought a fancy, expensive stroller and a wonderful cradle. Now he had stopped staying at work. But then, as bad luck would have it, Lou had to go urgently for a couple of days on a business trip to another city. A very lucrative deal was coming up, promising a lot of money if it was successfully signed. He couldn't trust anyone with this and decided to go by himself. Lou was anxious. "Alanis, my dear, let's go to the maternity hospital today just to be safe. I know it's still 4 weeks ahead, but still, it's winter. I won't be there with you. How can you be alone here? There's a TV and a shower in the ward, and doctors are on duty around the clock. That way I'll be calm." His wife hugged him tenderly, barely reaching him because of her huge belly, and reassured him. "Don't worry, everything will be fine. I feel great. My stomach doesn't hurt. I'm eating for 3, and I'll burst soon like a balloon. You'll be back the day after tomorrow. I don't want to go to the hospital. It's so good at home. I'll watch my favourite movies and sleep on my favourite bed. You know how hard it is for me to find a comfortable position, so the babies don't have a disco party inside me. Besides, my mum promised to come tomorrow. If anything, she'll stay overnight. So go and deal with your business. I left you sandwiches and coffee in the kitchen. Take them with you. You'll get hungry on the road." Lou kissed her belly, put his ear to it and whispered, "Goodbye, my little ones. Daddy will be home soon. Sit quietly there." Alanis laughed. His touching care always moved her. She saw him off and decided to rest. She lay down comfortably on the pillows and turned on a melodrama. But then the phone rang. It was her friend Lena. Alanis was pleased with the unexpected call, and the women started chatting non-stop. "Oh, I forgot to share the news about Mark. My acquaintance has told me," Lena exclaimed suddenly. "Mark's company burst like a soap bubble, and they even dragged him to court. At one point, he even started drinking heavily, but then he pulled himself together. He became a driver for an ordinary van, delivering mail around the city, and now he lives with his sick mother. She has a heart condition, and they say she needs surgery, and there's no money. That's the way it is. But who's to blame? He ruined his own life. He shouldn't have cheated on you. For some reason, Alanis felt sad. You know, I still feel sorry for him. The first love is the strongest, no matter what. Well, okay, Lena. I was glad to hear from you. Goodbye. Alanis got up, went to the window and gasped. 2 hours ago, it was quiet and sunny, but now there was a terrible blizzard and nothing could be seen. How's my beloved doing? Oh, Lord, I hope he can drive normally. God forbid anything happens to him. The woman prayed to the heavens. She grabbed her phone and called her husband. It was important for her to hear his voice, but she only heard, "Subscriber is unavailable." Alanis became even more nervous. Walking back and forth in the room, she had wound herself up to the limit. After all, it was a road. All these anxious thoughts made her stomach ache, and it became difficult to breathe. Her back hurt a lot, and then suddenly something warm poured down her legs. The frightened woman realized that her water had broken. She tried to call her husband again and again, but he was still unavailable. Alanis panicked and called her mother. She shouted in a voice that wasn't her own, "Mummy, my water broke. I'm in labour, and Lou left for a business trip just 2 hours ago. I can't reach him. There's probably no connection on the road. He begged me to go to the maternity hospital today, and I'm such an idiot I didn't listen. Mum, I'm scared. What should I do?" Helen did her best to calm her daughter, but her heart sank. "Don't panic. I'm calling an ambulance. The medics will be here soon." A couple of minutes later, she called her daughter again. "The ambulance is on its way. Pull yourself together. How are you feeling? Are the contractions frequent? Your father and I are also on our way. Hold on, breathe deeper. We're nearby. Everything will be fine. Get your documents ready so everything is at hand." Alanis cried in fear and pain and whimpered, "Mummy, come quickly, I'm scared. Did you see the blizzard out there? What if the ambulance doesn't make it? Oh, how painful it is." Helen rushed around the house and shouted to her husband, "Bernard, hurry and start the car. Alanis is giving birth. And Lou is on a business trip. I already called the ambulance." The man jumped up like a rocket and ran to the garage without further ado. But when he saw what was happening outside, he ran back into the house. "I'm afraid we won't be able to leave the yard. There's a terrible blizzard out there. Oh, Lord, everything is against us. We need to do something." The woman hastily dressed and ran into the yard, where it was so snowy that you couldn't see anything within a meter. She grabbed a huge shovel and feverishly began to clear the snow. "I'll clear the road myself. I'll walk there, but I'll help my daughter." "Help! No time for chit-chat. My daughter is in trouble. This is all my fault. We should have insisted on going to the maternity hospital. Or at least come to her today, not tomorrow. At least she wouldn't be alone." They worked together to quickly clear the snow from the area and set out, taking shovels with them, knowing they would need them again. Meanwhile, Alanis was praying to God that the ambulance would arrive in time and take her to the maternity hospital. Finally, she heard a car honking outside, got dressed with her remaining strength, and almost crawled to the door, writhing in pain. She let the medics into the house and fell right onto the steps. The paramedic didn't lose his cool, rushed to the woman and moved her to the bed. He comforted her. "Don't panic, we'll help you. What's your name? How old are you? How often are the contractions? When did your water break? Don't panic, you're in reliable hands and everything will be fine. Breathe out. Good. And now, calmly, answer my questions." Alanis came to her senses a little and began to tell him everything in detail. The doctor examined her and shook his head. "Okay, labour is progressing. We'll be giving birth here, and we won't make it to the maternity hospital, that's for sure." "Why did you wait so long, my dear? You should have been at the maternity hospital a long time ago." Seeing the labouring woman's bulging, almost crazy eyes, he reassured her again. "I repeat, everything is going according to plan. You have no complications. Just listen to me. Don't panic, and we'll get through this together. Where can we get clean sheets and boiled water? Come on, exhale. Again. Again. Hold my hand. Think about how difficult it is for the babies right now. You'll help them come into the world." Surprisingly, everything went smoothly, and within an hour, Alanis gave birth to 2 babies, a boy and a girl, one after the other, with a difference of a couple of minutes. One cried right away, but the paramedic struggled with the other, pumping something out of him, spitting, shaking him, rubbing him, and finally the baby weakly cried. The paramedic exhaled. "Phew, you really scared me, little one. Alanis, stop crying. Everything is fine. You gave birth and the babies are alive. However, your boy is a bit weak, so we need to take you to the maternity hospital as soon as possible." Alanis took the paramedic's hand and said, "Thank you so much. I don't know how to thank you. You're my saviour. If it weren't for you, I have everything ready for the babies. Take everything from the drawer in the dresser over there." Then the phone rang, and it was Lou on the line. "Alanis, sweetheart, what happened? The connection is terrible. How are you? I missed so many calls from you." Alanis started crying again. "I gave birth to a boy and a girl. My labour started prematurely at home. Thank God the ambulance arrived in time and they helped with the delivery. Now they're taking me to the maternity hospital." Lou almost shouted, "Oh God, I told you to go to the hospital earlier, didn't I? I shouldn't have listened to you and taken you to the ward myself. I'm dropping everything and heading back. Honey, I'll be with you tomorrow. Screw everything else. Thank you, my love, for the babies. I can't believe I'm a dad now." After the conversation, they got Alanis in the ambulance and drove to the hospital. The nurse held the babies, and Alanis finally calmed down a bit. Well, the worst is over. Now she can breathe a sigh of relief. Then her mother called. "Daughter, how are you? Where are you? I'll go mad soon. We're digging ourselves out with your father. We can't get on the road. Such things are happening here. I don't know how we'll get to you in the city." "Mummy, I've given birth. You're a grandma now," replied Alanis. "Congratulate Grandpa too. The ambulance paramedic helped with the delivery. They're taking me to the maternity hospital with the babies." Helen wiped the snow falling on her face with her hand and cried so loudly that Bernard was frightened and dropped the shovel, expecting something terrible. "What happened? What? Tell me!" The woman rushed to her husband and knocked him down on the snow. "You're a grandpa! Thank God! A boy and a girl! They're taking her to the maternity hospital." Bernard couldn't contain his joy. He hugged his wife tightly and kissed her. "Unbelievable! It seemed like I was a student myself yesterday, and now I'm a grandpa. 2 grandchildren at once. My poor little daughter. I can't even imagine how she endured all this alone." But as it turned out, it was too early to celebrate. More challenges were waiting for Alanis. The ambulance got stuck in the snow on the way. The roads were not cleared. For an hour, they tried to get the car out by themselves. The driver and the medics were soaked and exhausted, but the wheels only got stuck harder and deeper. They had to turn off the engine because it was already overheating. The driver tried to contact the dispatcher and report the emergency, while the panicked Alanis kept calling her mother and Lou, informing them of what had happened. Lou tried to call for a tow truck or a bulldozer. He was going crazy with worry and blamed himself every second for going on this damn business trip, leaving Alanis alone at home. Helen and her husband, having just rejoiced, panicked again. They kept asking the medic on which exact part of the road they got stuck, so they could somehow help their daughter. It was cold in the car and Alanis was getting cold, and she was hugging her little ones to her chest to warm them. The woman panicked. "Will they get us out soon? And if not, what will happen to me and the children? The doctor said my son is weak. We'll freeze to death here. Oh, why am I so unlucky? One thing after another, and all in one day." 2 hours had passed. It was already dark outside, and no help had arrived. Even the calm doctor had become nervous and was cursing on the radio, shocked by the indifference of the utilities and officials. After all, they had reported to everyone they could, and then in the middle of the road, everyone saw the light of the headlights as a small van approached. The driver of the ambulance waved his hands, asking for help. A young man in a bulky hooded jacket climbed out of the cab. After listening to what was being said, without any conversation, began to help push the ambulance out. They tried both the front and the back, but nothing worked. Realizing that they couldn't get out this way, he hooked the ambulance car onto his van with a rope and started to pull it slowly. They struggled for another half hour, but they managed to push the ambulance car out. The van driver did not abandon the medics and the woman in labour, and he towed them to the maternity hospital, since the ambulance had long run out of gas. The man saw through the window how the medics ran out and the woman with children was taken on a stretcher to the ward. And only after that did he wave to them from afar and drive home. It was Mark, Alanis's former fiancé. By fate, it was he who happened to be on a deserted, snowy road that evening in his old van. He was just returning home after delivering mail and packages. Mark didn't even guess who was in the car. He helped just because he felt sorry for the woman in labour and the children who found themselves in such a predicament. The guy got wet, caught a cold, and fell asleep literally without any strength. At night, he had a high temperature, and his old mother could not bring it down on her own. The next day, he ended up in the hospital. It turned out that he had pneumonia. As for Alanis, she and the children were examined and everything was fine. Mum and Dad arrived, and in the morning, her beloved husband came too. All the family members were happy that everything ended so well, and they congratulated the mother on the birth of her children. They took turns holding the babies and admiring them. "We must definitely find the driver of the van who pulled us out and thank him from the bottom of our hearts," said Alanis. "After all, if it weren't for him, we would definitely have frozen there until morning. Dad, will you help me with that? You have connections." But there was no need to search for anyone. A nurse who entered the ward and overheard Alanis and her father's conversation answered immediately. "Your saviour is lying in the next building with pneumonia. Such kindness doesn't happen every day. You and he are now celebrities." Alanis immediately jumped out of bed. "Mum, Lou, will you stay with the babies? I just want to express my gratitude to him, and that's it. We owe him our lives, and he caught a bad cold, apparently because of us." Alanis, in her robe and slippers, quietly walked into her saviour's ward. When she entered, she was simply amazed. It was Mark, her former fiancé, her first love. "Alanis, I can't believe my eyes," he asked in surprise. "What are you doing here? And in such a uniform?" The woman sat down on a chair and said, "It was you who saved me and my children yesterday. Thank you, Mark, from the heart. If it wasn't for you, we would definitely have frozen with my babies on a snowy road. How are you? The nurse said you have pneumonia." Mark waved his hand and said, "It's nothing. I was freezing and wet yesterday, but I'm feeling a bit better now. I'm glad I could help you, Alanis. It makes up for my past mistakes. I regretted it 100 times after. I've been looking for someone like you to start a family with, but I haven't found anyone. Congratulations on your children. Apparently, you found your love after all." "Yes, Mark, I've found mine," Alanis answered. I'm married to a kind and decent man named Lou. I'm not angry at you anymore, although it took me a while to get over your betrayal. But it's all in the past now. Let bygones be bygones. I hope you find love, get married and start a family. I've given up on my personal life. I'm just trying to save up for my mother's surgery. She has heart problems and needs expensive treatment. I'm slowly saving up for it, but it's not enough. Oh well, it's my problem, don't worry about it. Congratulations, Alanis, and I'm sorry for everything. Alanis came back to the room, feeling sad, and looked at her mother. Do you know who saved me yesterday? You'll never guess. It was Mark. Life is so unexpected. I can hardly believe it. He's changed so much. He's not the same person he used to be. Life must have been tough on him. Helen sighed, saying, well, maybe he's not such a bad person after all. Maybe he's capable of doing good things. We will visit him too. Lou felt a pang of jealousy. What were you talking about for so long, Alanis? I'm terribly jealous of you. Remember, I won't give you up to anyone else. Do you still love him? Alanis laughed and hugged her husband. Darling, don't be ridiculous. You're my happiness, and I don't want anyone else. I loved Mark, that's true, but that was a long time ago. I only realized through you that a woman can truly be happy with someone who treasures her. I feel sorry for Mark. He lives with his sick mother and needs money for her operation. This is so sad. The babies woke up making funny faces, looking for a nipple and crying. Lou picked up the boy and held him while Alanis was feeding the girl. The man admired how beautiful a woman looked while breastfeeding. The baby made cute noises, and Alanis melted with love. She wanted to kiss the little nose and never let go. Helen and Bernard visited Mark. They talked and reconciled. They forgot their past hurts and forgave each other. At a family meeting, they decided to help Mark's sick mother by paying for her operation. Everything went well, and the woman recovered. Bernard hired Mark as a manager because he had good business sense. Mark's personal life improved too. He met a simple and modest woman named Pamela, who worked as a saleswoman in a supermarket. Maybe after talking to Alanis, Mark finally let her go and stopped looking for someone like her. He remembered his mistakes and was honest with Pamela. He enjoyed her soups and pies and didn't mind her plumpness or freckles. They sometimes walked in the park with Alanis, Lou and their children. The women found common ground and became friends. Their acquaintances and old friends were amazed at how fate intertwined their lives. But Alanis and her parents believed that everyone deserved a second chance. After all, we all make mistakes and commit indecent acts that we later regret. The main thing is to realize it and change yourself, to know how to ask for forgiveness and to forgive. Just stay human. That's the whole secret.